In this video, we'll learn how to read and write time with a 24-hour clock. Remember, we have mentioned about there are 24 hours in the day, but if we look at our clock, there are only 12 numbers on it. So in other words, we will see that the clock, the hour hand, will move by every number 2 times in a day. What do I mean by that? Suppose you wake up at 6 o'clock, you will see that your hour hand is pointing towards 6, while your minutes hand is pointing towards 12. This is 6 o'clock in the morning, and in a 12-hour clock, we call it as 6 a.m. And in the evening, when you are about to have dinner at 6 o'clock, you will see your clock is pointing the same way. The hour hand is pointing towards 6 and the minutes hand is pointing towards 12. This is 6 o'clock in the evening, and in a 12-hour clock, we will call this 6 p.m. We need AM and PM to indicate which is the exact time we are referring to. There is also another way of indicating the time in a 24-hour clock. So we can represent 24-hour time on a timeline as shown below. In a 24-hour clock, AM and PM are not used. So how do we indicate the same time in two different numbers? So in a timeline of a 24-hour clock, we always start in the midnight 12 o'clock. So imagine you go to bed, and when the clock finally click at 12, that is the midnight 12 a.m. and we will in a 24-hour system, it will be indicated as 0000. That is the start of a 24-hour clock. So what happened an hour later? That will be 1 a.m. and 1 a.m. is indicated as 0100 in a 24-hour clock. 2 a.m. is indicated as 0200 in a 24-hour clock. So there's an addition of hundreds with the pass of every hour. And this will continue all the way to noon time. 12 noon is written in a 24-hour clock as 1200. So suppose you go to school at 7:30 a.m. In a 12-hour clock, we will write down as 7:30 a.m. We will use the a.m. to indicate that this is in the morning. Wow! In a 24-hour clock, you will simply write it as 0730. Why? Because this is 7 hours, 30 minutes later, after 12 midnight, after 0000. So hence you see that the time indicated will be as 0730. And suppose you have your lunch at 1:30 p.m. We indicate PM because this is the time after noon. So in a 24-hour clock, we will indicate it as 1330 because this is 1 hour and 30 minutes after 1200. So you see what happened is that I'm adding 1 hour 30 minutes to my 12 hour, right? And hence the hours after 12 noon, it's all added with 12. So 1 hour later, you will add 12 to 1 and you get 13 hour. And 2 hours later, afternoon, you will get 1400 because you are adding 200 to 1200. So this way it will add on every hour until you reach 11 p.m. and 11 p.m. will be 23:00 because this will be 11 p.m. add on to another 12. So you get 23:00. And the counting of time will continue this way until midnight, where it is 00:00, and you will start the counting of the day again. Alright, so what you see here is that in a 24-hour time, you will indicate the hour in 4 digits. The first 2 digits indicate the hour. The last 2 digits indicates the minutes. For the time from midnight to noon time, you will indicate the hour as per what your clock is showing you. For example, if it is 6:30 a.m., you indicate it as 06:30. For time after noon to before midnight, this is the timing where you need to add 12 to your 24-hour clock. So for example, you have 7:30 p.m. In a 24-hour clock, you will have the minutes is the same, 30, it doesn't change. And the hour here, 7, you have to add on 12 to it. So you will have 19:30. This is the 7:30 p.m. in 24-hour clock. So what is the time shown in the clock here? This is 9:30. Using a 12-hour clock, if this is in the morning, you will say that this is 9:30 a.m. If you are using a 24-hour clock, because this is before noon time, then you will actually write it as 09:30. You will use the time as it is. So we read 09:30 as 09:30 hours. What about this? This is 10 o'clock. And because it's at night, we will name this as 12 p.m. using a 12-hour clock. When we are using a 24-hour clock, because this is past noon time before midnight, we will have to add 12 to the hour. Hence, 10 plus 12 is 22. So using a 24-hour clock, we will write down 22:00 and we will read this as 22 hours. So let's try 4:30 a.m. in a 12-hour clock. How would you write it in a 24-hour clock? Yes, this is past midnight and before 12 noon. So we will use the number as it is. It will be written as 0430. So in a 24-hour clock, if I get this number 17:20, how do I write it in a 12-hour clock? We see that the hour is more than 12. So we have to minus 12 away. When I minus 12 away, I find that the time is 5:20. And because 12 has been added to the 24-hour system, means that this time is after 12 noon, and hence this will be 5:20 p.m. If I have 3:15 p.m., what would be the time? Yes, you are right. PM means it's after noon time. So I have to add 12 to my hour. 3 plus 12 is 15. So I will have 15:15 in the 24-hour clock. And if I see a number 0205 in 24-hour clock, I want to write it in a 12-hour clock. I look at this number, that it is actually less than 12. When it's less than 12, it means we are writing the time as it is. And so the time will be 2 2:05 a.m. because this is from the midnight to the time before noon. If it's noon time, I will write in the 24-hour clock as 12:00. If it is midnight, it will be 00:00. What about 21:55? 21:55, I will have to write it in 12-hour clock by minusing 12 from the hour. 21 minus 12, I get 9. So this is 9:55 p.m. Similarly, when I have 12:40 p.m., when I need to write it in a 24-hour clock, I will have to indicate it as 12:40. Why 12:40? Because this is past noon time. Noon is 12. This is 40 minutes past noon, so this is 12:40. And if I have 05:05, if I were to write it in my 12-hour clock, once again I look at this. This is the hour is less than 12. If it's less than 12, it is from midnight to before noon time. It will be in the AM. So it's 5:05 AM. Have you learned how to convert from 12-hour to 24-hour and vice versa? Let's do more practice so you can really remember the rules.